All right, our next guest on a nosebleed perspective has served 7 years in the United States Air Force. Uh, he was known to us, the nosebleed crew in Korea, when we were all there. A man who knows how to party. He once was denied entry to a club, so bought a pair of Korean cab driver's shoes. Smelled like shit, and just so he can come in and party with the boys. So, a San Antonio Spurs fan, Chicago Bears, Texas Longhorns, and currently pursuing a degree in film. This man has now been sober for 2 years. So give it up for Jose Fuentes.
Let's
Let's
go,
go, dude.
let's go.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having me, guys.
no problem. How you been?
Great, man. Great. Like I was saying before, man. Like the getting out of the military has been one of the best decisions I've ever made. Feel great. Feel healthy again for the first time in a long time. So doing really, really well.
Hey, that's awesome to hear, man. That's awesome to hear.
Awesome.
COVID been treating you good, bad, in between?
In between, I kind of wish I could go out and do stuff. And it's Texas, so we kind of can, but it's also Texas, so I don't trust the people that are out there doing stuff. So there's that.
Very true. All right, well, we got some questions for you, so I'll go ahead and start us off. You're a Chicago Bears fan, so that's always interesting to talk about. Who would you rather see at quarterback for Chicago next year? Oh, Big Richard Foles or Mitch Trubisky, man? It's been kind of a toss-up. What do you think?
So as soon as we gave up those 4 draft picks, I was like, please pick up Watson. And then we picked up Trubisky. So that should tell you everything that you need to know just right there. That was the biggest waste of 4 draft picks I've ever seen by any franchise, dude. Seriously, just to move up one spot. Like there was no threat of the 49ers taking Trubisky at all, bro. I hated that move so bad. I wanted to burn all of my Bears memorabilia that I had left because I was just like, I don't like, what's the point anymore? This dude just came off winning a national champion. Then you have Mahomes, who just Mahomes. Come on, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like I hate that. So I've been wanting to get another quarterback since day one, and I am super glad that of all the people that we got, it was Nick Foles. You know, coming through clutch. I think I would rather have Nick Foles personally, just because we've already seen what Trubisky can do, and at best he's all right. So, dude.
Yeah. So yes, I mean, so we had another guy on the show who was a huge Nick Foles fan. I think he was our first guest. He was huge. I'm not sold on him yet, but so it seems you are leaning that direction towards old Foles there, huh?
Yeah, man. Like every time. Well, the big reason for it is that every time he's been given a shot, he's done well. Like the only time that he didn't was whenever he was with, all right, Jacksonville. All right, come on, relax. But, like pretty much every time, like whenever he first got the starting job in Philadelphia, when he got the starting job back after Wentz went down, when he started in the Super Bowl, like as of late, anytime that he's like needed to come through and like do big things, he did big things. And I'm not saying like he's the second coming of like Aaron Rodgers or anything like that, but like we gotta do something, and we know it's not Mr. Trubisky, so there's that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you can only go up from there, and
Exactly.
Super Bowl MVP. So hey,
there you go. That's an upgrade.
That's true. All right, fair enough. Then it's hard to argue with all that. I mean, Trubisky, man, boy.
Fucking Trubisky, bro.
Yeah. All right, so we'll kind of go towards the NBA here real quick. How do you think the NBA bubble and everything that comes with what's happening with the coronavirus and all that kind of shakes up the playoffs? It's very irregular. Do you think there's any teams that could benefit from this and kind of maybe sneak in or make a run? And who is your favorite to win it all, or who do you like in the finals? However you want to.
All right. So actually, I'm really glad that you asked that question, because if it wasn't for the way that the league is structured now, with the 7th seed and the eighth seed being possibly fought for in a best of 2 game series, the Spurs actually have a shot. Like, because from the 8th seed, like we're 12th in the West, but we're still 4 games from the 8th seed in the West. So there's still a chance, like if we just win, which I don't know if we will, but like honestly, I don't. Like our lineup looks pretty solid. So there's that. But I think that the Spurs stand to benefit. I think, unfortunately, I was going to say New Orleans before Zion ended up having to go home. And who knows how that's going to turn out, right? Like if he would have been able to like continue to play the rest of the season, I think that it would have been like a no-brainer. They're taking a playoff spot. but now it's kind of like up in the air. So it makes the West a lot more interesting, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you got even the Phoenix Suns, the last
Yo,
team that
relax.
made it. I mean, they have a chance at making the
They have a
playoffs.
chance, man, and it's crazy, and it's because like it's still the West, so it's still tight. Even though everyone that's in the bottom half of the league is like, especially in the West, is like trash in comparison to who's at the top. I mean, look at the Lakers. Come on, but like it's still everyone still has a chance, and I love that because my team still has a chance. So
Yeah, I mean, do you have a favorite right now, or who do you think can actually make the finals?
I think that this is one of the first years where I really think the two best players in the league are going to be the guys in the finals, and whoever doesn't get MVP is who I think is going to end up winning the title, which is like I think both of the guys, like LeBron James, first off, he's one of the greatest of all time. There's no denying that, right? But then you look at Giannis, man, and I don't think we haven't seen a guy that's that athletic, like that kind of athletic freak, including LeBron James, in a really long time. Like I don't know if we've ever seen a guy that's that athletic and gifted. Like usually he's one of the top 3 fastest guys on the court, no matter who he's playing against. And one of the only guys that's faster than him is Eric Bledsoe. So there's that. He's huge, just crazy strong. Like he only needs 3 steps to get from the 3-point line to the rim, which that just like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You can't beat that. And that's that. I think that he's gonna, if whoever ends up winning the MVP this year between LeBron James and Giannis is gonna lose in the finals. That's pretty much. I don't know who it is because like that in my eyes they're like so close to each other in like every aspect of it. They have really good, like a superstar for sure and a great supporting cast. LeBron does have Anthony Davis, which I mean that obviously gives him an advantage. But you look at how well the Bucks play together, and it's like, well, that kind of evens the playing field. But, you know, especially with that starting lineup because they don't have a bad starter on the Bucks.
Yeah, I remember when they signed Chris Middleton, man, I was shocked they signed him for that much. But, boy, man, the dude has shown up for real.
He really has, bro. He really has. And I thought – and it's funny that you mentioned Middleton because I felt the same way whenever the Spurs signed LaMarcus Aldridge because I was like, he's a good player. He's a really, really good player. Just came off an All-Star season. Mm-hmm. But is he worth $19 million? Is he really worth that much as opposed to, like, the other guys that are in the league? And then Chris Middleton, in our case, Marcus Aldridge ended up kind of paying off.
Yeah, for sure. He has solid dude.
No ring, but still, like, we're in competition because of him. And
absolutely.
You could say the same thing with Chris Middleton. Like, without him, I mean, they lose that 3-point shot. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. So real quick. College football is coming up. What do you see happening this fall? Some conferences have declared just conference only games, while like other smaller ones like the Ivy League completely just canceled their season. Is there an alternate route college football you think they can go, or what do you think happens? I mean, it's kind of nerve-wracking.
It really, really is. So I'm in a weird spot with college football because I feel like if the campus is open, then that's one thing because then at least you could get some students in there to watch the game. You could have like limited bodies and stuff like that. And I'm sure that like pretty much every campus has a plan for like, you know, eventually letting people in. But my big problem is that like we're not paying these kids. Like California is going to pay their student athletes, which is great. That's a great step. But I don't think that these kids should be like putting themselves at risk, no matter what you think about the virus, just like for injury or whatever, especially with the climate that we're in. We're not going to have – it's not going to be anywhere near as exciting. That's just because having fans in the stadiums, like even with the UFC fights, like you get to see a different side of it and like hear it different, but it's not the same as having, you know, a live crowd in there.
For
because
sure,
that's a big part of it is having that live reaction with sports. And if we can't have, especially with college, because we're not paying the guys to be there, I think it shouldn't happen. Not until at least the campuses are open and they can start letting people in. Because until that happens.
Well, so like they're kind of like, so I'm going to school full time over at Arizona State, and the way they have it set up right now is campuses are kind of like halfway open. Classes are 50% capacity. Obviously the 6 feet or whatever. So they technically, you can say like all the common areas are open, but it's just so many guidelines, so many restrictions. So they technically are open, at least over here, Arizona State, Pac-12, blah, blah, blah. Shitty league, hates Pac-12. Yeah, God. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see for sure. Boy, I just hope we can at least watch football on a Saturday morning when we wake up. And
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it, man. Just because you gotta love like college football.
yeah.
I don't know who doesn't love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just a matter of whether or not it should happen. And that's crazy, like that you say that stuff's open in Arizona because like Texas is just about as crazy with how much they want to open up because of the whole COVID thing. But like we don't have schools open yet.
Oh, for real? Jeez.
Yeah, we don't have any schools open. So
that's crazy because Arizona's like the worst place on the planet right now for.
Oh yeah, no, dude. I wonder why, right?
I guess, yeah. All right, that's all I got, Gibby.
All right, man. Well, it's good to talk to you again, Fuentes. I'm going to go ahead and stick with college football. Big Longhorns guy. We've had several college football talks in the past. But do you think old Tom Herman and Ellinger can give the old Longhorn faithful something to cheer for this year if there is college football?
I hope so, man. Oh, man. We haven't been great in a really long time. And it's hard to be a Longhorns fan because, like, the last thing we can really, really look back on and be proud of is Vince Young. Like, that was 2005.
Greatest college game of all time.
Dude, seriously, still. I still go back and watch it. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Back and forth. But I don't even think that it's – if it does happen, it's not going to happen this season. We had a really, really good class this year.
Very good.
Really, really good pickups. And I think that quarterback that we just picked up, Jadavian or something like that. I can't remember his name off the top of my head because he had a weird name. Jaquindon.
Okay.
That is a weird name.
Yeah, that's a weird name.
Right? But I think because he ended up leading his team to the state finals or state championship. They didn't win, but they still, he led a team to the state. That's saying a lot. We haven't had a really good draft class like that in a while. But I think if it does happen, it won't be this next season. It'll be the following season because they're not giving that starting job up to a freshman. Period.
No, they've rode Ellinger for too long. They can't just say, hey. But yeah, they did have a good recruiting class. Well, you're rocking the Spurs jersey, man, and I'm a Suns fan, and your team has broken my heart many times, but that's all right. We talked about it. We talked about it a little earlier, but they are 27-36. That 27 consecutive playoff streak is in jeopardy, like you said. You're a Spurs fan, so you're keeping hope. So I'm proud of you for that. But what do you think went wrong over the last few years to maybe make them? Obviously, a dynasty can't last forever.
True.
So at some point, something's going to happen. And what's it going to take for them to get back to them years? Is it a new coach? Is it, what's it going to take? I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm sorry. I didn't mean to play shots.
Come on, man.
Oh, Pop.
I mean,
no respect.
So actually, since you brought up Coach Pop, I don't want to see him retire. I really, really don't. I've been a Spurs fan since I was 6 years old. And just doing the math, the Spurs haven't missed the playoffs my entire time of them watching, me watching them as a fan. As soon as we got Tim Duncan, I was like, I'm on board. Yeah, let's do it. I was just super excited about it, dude. And it's so weird being in the position that we're in right now. I didn't watch, for the first time, I didn't watch, as many Spurs games as I could because we were just bad. There was just no, our starting lineup couldn't stay healthy. It was bad, dude. This past season has been just terrible. I hope because again, we just talked about how the seeding is set up. There's a chance if they get within 4 games of that 8 seed and they're sitting at 9, that we can still get into the playoffs. But it's a matter of winning games. And I don't know if I know personally, well, I hope. Let me rephrase that. I hope that Coach Pop wouldn't want to tank, right? Of all the coaches of all time that ever want to tank to get a better draft position, no. I would hope that he wouldn't want to do that. But I don't know. I'm not in that front office, so I couldn't tell you. But honestly, I think there's just because there's a tiny bit of hope that we can actually get into the playoffs. I'm holding on to it, man. I have to.
Hey, you have to.
Yeah.
Like I said, 22 years of being a fan, bro. I don't remember doing anything more for 22 years. The only thing that I did that long was drink. Geez.
Yeah. Fucking breathe and blink.
Yeah.
All right, brother. That's all I got, Cheech.
All right, man. We're gonna go back to football a little bit. Actually, before I go into football, though, I'm just gonna say horns down. I think this is the first time we have 3 Big 12 fans in here. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah, boomer sooner. All right, so back to football though. All right, so the Bears 12-4 in 2018, lost on the double doink. 2019 dumpster fire. I don't even know how they ended up 8-8. It was just like they kind of just fell into that spot. 2020, what's in store for 2020? Are they going to be recovering, or are they going to be a wild card team? I don't know if you saw our breakdowns of the divisions, but we kind of roasted the Bears a little bit. At least
no,
I
I
did
saw
for
it.
sure. Yeah.
I definitely saw
I
it.
got him
I don't
winning.
blame you.
I got him winning.
I know. Thank you, Gibby. Someone with some sense.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's hear your take on the Bears.
So actually, that's a super easy one, bro. We lost Hakeem Nicks. He was eating up 2 blocks on the left side, and who else is on the left side? Khalil Mack.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because as soon as we lost him, we don't have anyone else as big as him on the defensive line. Period. Like he's our biggest block eater. Like that's what he does. That's what he was signed to do, and that was a big difference between 2018 and 2019. Their pass rush was significantly worse, and a big part of that was Hakeem Nicks. They went from having 50 sacks to 32 sacks. So as much as I hate Trubisky, the defense didn't show up. I hate Trubisky, and I'm going to say that every time I get every chance I get, man.
That was passionate. I can feel that.
Hey, you guys also lost Leonard Floyd. The Rams signed him this
Dude,
year.
yeah.
I don't know how big of an impact you thought he was, but I mean, he's somebody who could actually play the game. So
Yeah, that one hurt too, man. Seriously hurt. Like I will say it doesn't hurt anywhere near as much as it would to not have Hakeem Nicks.
yeah,
Like,
right.
He's definitely a serious part of that linebacking core. So seeing him go didn't feel good, especially because I felt like with that healthy defense, with the same lineup that we had the year before, like if they're healthy, they're going to be great, and they proved it that year. They were able to go 12-4 and make it into the playoffs. So, and that's like the big thing about Bears football, isn't it? Like Bears football has always been about defense.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have to have a better quarterback, and here's hoping. But that's what I think, man, for sure. It was the defense not showing up the same way they did the season prior was what ended up, leading to that.
Yeah,
it's always such a shame too. You have such a great defense. I mean, you could probably feel that a little more than the normal fan, but
dude, if it's not one thing, it's another with the Bears, bro. Like I just keep wanting them to make good moves, and every single season they just let me down.
Yeah, you had a phenomenal defense, an offense that produced, and all of a sudden your kicker was just fucking retarded.
hey, what?
Jeez.
It was tipped, man. It was tipped.
I don't know, man.
Cody Parkey lost his career after that, and no one's giving him any credit because the ball was fucking tipped. Some offensive lineman probably gave an inch, and that was the reason that he just lost his whole career.
When I saw that play happen, dude, I was just like, just when we got our hopes up, we were like, we have the best defense in the league. We're about to win. And Roddy Gold, bro, he doesn't miss field goals. He doesn't miss. And then he misses. They did tip it. And I was just, oh, man. Just opening that wound again, bro. God.
That was
so how many games do you think they win next year?
If the defense comes back healthy, if Hakeem Nicks, here's hoping. If we get Nick Foles and he can produce on in the quarterback position, we'll be all right because we still got a decent running back core, so they'll be able to get the ball down the field whenever we need it. Well, when we really need it, at least. But really, it's all on the defense, bro. If we can't, I mean, if you look at the roster itself, like the roster it's a great lineup up and down, but they got to stay healthy. And if they don't stay healthy, then we're not going to be able to do shit.
Yeah, we talked about. I'll go ahead, Cheech.
No, I was just saying, I kind of downplayed Allen Robinson's fantasy football capabilities in one of our episodes.
I did not.
I just don't think he's that good of a wide receiver with the quarterback option that was there last year. Obviously, Big Dick Nick brings a different pedigree if he's the starter.
Sure.
But I don't know. I just don't trust the wide receiver core there. But yeah, I mean, running back wise, you guys are solid.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? I mean, we didn't have any 1,000-yard receivers last year, so we got to improve it somehow if we can. And that's part of the problem too, man. Like we had decent tight end production, but when you have almost no real wide receiver production, like they can't really do anything after the catch, and Trubisky couldn't get the ball downfield. So
yeah,
I mean, we were doomed, like so bad as soon as the Knicks went down. So
yeah, I mean, I like Allen Robinson. I think he can produce. I think he can be the guy. He got a lot of looks last year, but he just had like you say, a dumpster fire quarterback throwing to him. And what are your thoughts on? I know we didn't talk about this beforehand. David Montgomery. What are your thoughts on him, real quick? Sorry.
Man, that's a good one. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for good things.
Right.
But the Bears are just a dumpster fire to begin with. So
yeah, I mean, he was a weird. I don't know, rookie running back to say the least last year, because I feel like they didn't exercise his talents near enough, because I think he's really good. I think he's one of the best running backs ever taken in that draft.
I do, but I also think that, well, especially with how Tariq Cohen ended up producing at the end of the season in 2018, that the offense, at least from what I saw, they were trying to like lean more towards him and like more towards like a passing offense out of the backfield as opposed to like just power running it down the field, which again, that's traditional Bears football, just running down the field. Yep. But I hope that we use him more. I really do, because he's a really talented back, but we have to set up an offensive line that could actually block, for one.
Yeah.
And right now we don't really have that. That's another part of the problem with why Trubisky is so terrible. He doesn't have any real time to actually, sit in the pocket and throw anything.
Yeah, no, I can totally believe that. I mean, you saw like 4 years ago when Jared Goff played his first few games, we had probably the worst O-line in the game, and he didn't win a single game. He went 0-10, I think. Yeah, 0-10. The next year, they got John Sullivan, they got Andrew Whitworth, we got Roger Saffold, who stepped up his game, Rob Havenstein, and we're in the Super Bowl a couple years later. So, that O-line, I'm a big O-line guy, so so it'll make or break your team.
I mean, just look at, I kind of hate always making this comparison, but just look at the Cowboys. Like they went from, and I definitely feel like it's after their sophomore year and since then, like I think that it was clear that Ezekiel Elliott should have been the rookie quarterback of the year, or the rookie player of the year, offensive rookie of the year. That's what it was. But it was a big part of that was that offensive line. Like if it wasn't for that offensive line, he wouldn't have been able to get anywhere near as many like running lanes as he did, and he wouldn't have been able to produce as well as he did. So, I hate making the example because I hate the Cowboys with a passion. But I mean, they went from having like a really, really good line, O-line and the best running back in the league to the following year losing a couple guys to injury, and then he was suspended, so they didn't have as much like offensive production. Then the following year, they ended up losing more guys, and because of that, they didn't have the opportunity to run as much because they had to get into more passing situations. And then this past year, that it happened again, and like. As far as like the actual carries that Zeke's getting and like his actual like yardage production, it hasn't really gone down that much. What's like gone down is the fact that they need to pass more, so that's why his yardage is going down. And people aren't really like acknowledging that either. Again, I hate the Cowboys, but Ezekiel Elliott's a really, really talented back, and I think he gets too much flack in general because when it comes right down to it, he's still producing when he touches the ball, but he's not getting the ball as much because that defense can't hold anyone down. For one, and they Dak Prescott's nowhere near as good as he thinks he is. So
big facts, yeah.
Denied a lot of money.
So we're gonna just a quick transition over to a little UFC action here. So Masvidal went the distance against Usman, took it 5 rounds, went to a decision, and then lost the fight. Usman won it. One, does Masvidal deserve a title rematch? And 2, is he using the short time to prepare for that match? Obviously, the COVID stuff and everything like that. Is he using that short time to prepare as a scapegoat or like a little like reason why he lost? Or like straight up, is Masvidal the fighter if he knows that he has time to prep for this fight and he's walking with the championship?
So that one's kind of tough because I love Masvidal. I'm a huge Masvidal fan. I absolutely think that he should have been the guy in that position to begin with. The fact that he wasn't, it's kind of crazy to me. Like it should have been his fight to begin with. So I think with a full training camp, maybe this fight still goes the distance, but with an actual full training camp as opposed to just 6 days to prepare for it, like it makes a huge difference. I mean, even if you want to look at Justin Gaethje, he at least had another week to prepare, right? And he ended up, but Gaethje is like a completely different matchup than what's his name, Khabib was for Tony Ferguson. So
Yeah.
like he's definitely going to stay on his feet more. So he did, like Tony Ferguson, that affected him in the opposite way, because Tony Ferguson was preparing for a guy that's going to like, you know, just change levels on him and then just take him down and try to dominate him on the ground. And hopefully Tony Ferguson, like I'm assuming this is what his game plan was he was either going to try to stuff the takedowns or keep his distance so he wouldn't be able to get taken down. But that obviously isn't going to work with a guy who loves to stand up like Justin Gaethje. And like it ended up, you know, working in his favor. So I think that for one, it should have been Masvidal's fight to begin with. And two, if he has a full training camp, if he's able to actually like prepare and you know, come in, like now he knows what Usman is capable of, which we already knew he was a great wrestler. He's a lot better on the feet than I think anyone really gave him credit for. But if Masvidal has a full camp, then I think it might be a completely different story. Now, as far as him using it as an excuse, I mean, I don't think he would have been saying anything if he would have wanted. So
Yeah, because I mean, like Usman had just as much time.
exactly.
So if Usman's got the short time to prepare too, then I don't know how Masvidal can say like, "Hey, I lost because of the short time to prepare." I know Masvidal is one hell of a fighter, but it's just hard for me to believe that he can blame it on a short time to prepare when the entire UFC is dealing with the exact same problem that Masvidal is dealing with.
Yeah, and I think it's like that's one of the things that even Dana like addresses all the time. Like the cards subject to change at all times, and sometimes it happens way sooner than we expect it to. It kind of sucks because like I said, I think that Masvidal should have been the number one contender. He should have been in that title fight to begin with, but now he's going to have to fight his way back up. I think he is going to do that. I don't think he just out the bat deserves it right like immediately, but you have a point. Like Usman didn't have any time to prepare for Masvidal's fighting style, but again, he had a full training camp, so he came in like he was already in shape. He was already like in fighting shape, which is really, really important because like there's fighting shape and then there's, you know, being day-to-day walking around shape. And that's where I can kind of, you know, give Masvidal a little bit of credit because he did come out pretty much just like off the street and had to lose all that weight, had to lose 20 pounds in 6 days, which if you guys have ever like wrestled or anything like that,
Violent.
you know how much that fucking shit. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It hurts.
It's not a good time.
Not a good time. And like to have to do that much weight in such a short period of time, on fight night, it definitely looked like it affected him for one. But he shouldn't use that as an excuse because you're totally right. Usman had to deal with the same thing. He was dealing with a completely different fighter, a completely different game plan. And
this is their occupation. Like
I
understand like they have like their normal life weight and then they have their fight weight, but like this is their occupation. And like if a fight can drop on them like anytime, especially a title shot, like you should just be ready to rock. Especially a dude that's like at the level that Masvidal is. Like you should just be ready to rock, ready to fight no matter what. I'm impressed that he went the distance with such a short amount of time to get ready for fight weight and fight fucking endurance and everything. But yeah, I don't know. It was the highlights of that fight were great.
Yeah, the highlights were, but the problem was that most of the highlights were just takedowns. Just a really good level change and then just right to a takedown. Then after that, it's like a really mind you, I personally love watching the wrestling and stuff like that, but I could see why a lot of people wanted to get a refund for the fight because if you're not a fan of wrestling, then you're not going to enjoy that kind of fight at all.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, too, like in a fight like that where if it's wrestling and then like it just like ends up being tied up too, like it's always going to go to the title. Like the dude that has the belt is going to retain the belt when it goes to a decision after 5 rounds.
I will. It is crazy though that Masvidal was like able to continue, like stay awake for 5 rounds because I mean he just got dominated the entire fight, man. And that's another like really like big compliment for Usman, who he fought a great fight. He had a phenomenal performance, really. Like he from bell to bell, like just completely dominated the fight. In the first round, you could like say he got caught a few times, and that it was pretty interesting in the start. But then after that, it was a wrap. Like the fact that he again had the full training camp and he was like actually ready for 5 rounds of fighting. Like their gas tanks, like they were not on the same level at all, and you could see it. You could see it as soon as the second round started.
Yeah. That's all I got, brother. Good talking to you.
All right, you too.
Yeah. So real quick, I know I didn't ask you this, but who wins the Super Bowl this year, bud?
I really want to say the Bears, but I know it's not going to happen.
All right. Besides the Bears, I respect that completely. But
back, we have a chance. But I'm looking at Tampa really closely.
Let's go.
Ooh, our first guest to say not the Chiefs.
We ask everyone who comes on the show to predict who wins the Super Bowl, and I think is it everyone so far has picked the Chiefs?
Everyone.
Yeah, every single person, including all of us. Gibby doesn't count. He doesn't want to be biased, so he's like trying to be humble about it. Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't know. There's probably somebody better in the league. No, there's not.
It could be the Rams and Jets. Who knows?
So the Bucks. What do you like about the Bucks? Obviously,
dude, so I mean, you got to look at the fact that Tom Brady's over there now.
Right.
I feel like he feels like he's got something to prove. But not only that receiving core is insane.
Yeah.
Like they are ridiculously good at receiver and tight end now because of Gronk. And I mean, come on, Brady and Gronk again. Of course, it's gonna like be money. It doesn't matter what like their offensive lineup looks like because they're together. So I don't know, man. Like it's really interesting. I totally like see the Chiefs. I can totally see the argument for it. But I don't know. I like to, I mean, you guys know me. I don't really like to go down the beaten path. I like to, look at stuff.
I have the Bucks in the Super Bowl too. So I got roasted.
There you go, bro.
I got roasted for putting the Bucks so high.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I got roasted too, dude. Like, and I totally get it because it's the Chiefs, man. Come on, they got the best player in the league. They have probably the most explosive wide receiver in the league. Yep. Their defense is just complete. Like they're good. They're able to make plays. So up and down on that roster, like I could totally see why people want to like believe that the Chiefs are going to be there. And I think that, if it's not the Bucks, it's going to be the Chiefs for sure.
Built to win.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I mean, I just think Gronk being out there just completely will distract defenses and open up a lot of things. I think Gronk was just the move to be the decoy, if anything, to open up a lot of things. Gibby doesn't believe in him because of the Bruce Arians offense and the 7-7.
That's not going to work.
It's just he doesn't.
I can't wait until everybody just exposed for him being overrated. The dude hasn't played football in an entire year. Like who knows what he's bringing to the table?
Yeah, I really don't know. I have no idea what we're going to get from Gronk. I'm not going to lie. I have no clue.
That's true.
But if anything, like I said, that decoy is going to be big time in an offense that already has a lot of offensive weapons.
Dude, and that's the thing. You got like who isn't a good receiver on that team? Period. Like they got Mike Evans, and that's really all you need. If you just had Mike Evans, they'd probably be fine. But the receiving core is just ridiculous, bro. So the fact that they have Gronk now, I think, again, exactly what you said, because he's going to be a distraction. Maybe like also in a bad way because it's Gronk. So I think that
Gronk
just having him on the field, dude, right? It's going to be great. If there's not headlines coming out of that in the first week.
Yeah, every week. Gronk does what in Tampa?
Gronk bought a what? He bought oh, come on.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's ever met Joe Exotic. Like
he probably has. He probably has. It's probably his boy.
He probably writes him every weekend. Just like, dear Joe, How are the cats? Joe's like, I have no idea. I have no contact with the cats anymore.
Well, all right, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Hopefully, we can get you back on here at some point. I hope you had a good time. And
Oh yeah, man, this was fun.
yo, if the Spurs make the playoffs, we're getting your ass back on, okay?
Oh, for sure, bro. If we make it,
Yeah.
yo, here we go.
All right, man. Thanks. It's been Jose Fuentes. This is a Nosebleed Perspective, and yeah, thanks for coming on. And we look forward to having you on, putting the horns down and up. All right, bud.